Hey, it's a dark episode for January the 14th, 2022. Listening to an interesting podcast on those people that the 538 podcast, which kind of has a tendency to deal with numbers. I like kind of doing polling and also just kind of looking at kind of breakdown of numbers. And they're having an interesting discussion with a woman about, could the U.S. be headed towards a civil war? Like, how likely is it? And the woman paints a rather bleak picture of the U.S. becoming less democratic, through various things, make it, it's not like it's not stopped being a democracy, but it's less democratic, and kind of pointing out the Republican Party, um, deciding to appeal strictly to white Christian voters, um, and then do everything they can to kind of tip the scale so that a minority could rule the government. Because really, if they just went by strictly one person, one vote, that would not happen. Um, but it was interesting how the host was able to kind of fire back with various statistics on, well, if you look at the two parties, yes, the Republican Party was like 90% white at one point, and the Democrats were like 75% white, and now the Democrats are like 65% white, and the Republicans are I think 85 or 75% white. So they actually have, the two parties actually have kind of shifted in their demographics as they've gone along. There's more appeal to, the Republicans are actually trying to do more appeal to other ethnic groups, though maybe not that great. Just sort of, it was interesting, kind of just saying, like, challenging the numbers there, saying, like, are they, which isn't to say that there isn't some really disquieting stuff in American politics. And I mean, it's one of these things, as a Canadian, as the mouse that's lives above the elephant, you just want to be aware of stuff like this, because the next Civil War, the first one happened as Canada was being formed. Indeed, it actually kind of really informed Canada's makeup and how it was constructed in a lot of ways. At least that's what we tell ourselves in Canada. So I should always take that with a grain of salt and find out that it was all bullshit, or exactly the opposite lesson. But it's one of these things of, it really affects up here, whether, I mean, it's going to affect the entire world if the United States fell into some kind of a civil war. Yeah, so that was just an interesting thing that I was listening to, thinking about today. I mean, it is one of these things of, unfortunately, you look at how Biden's doing, you look at how the Democrats are doing, and you think, there's probably a pretty damn good chance, especially with what the Republicans are pushing through in their voting laws, that Trump will be back in the White House again, in by the next election, unless there's an act of somebody and he just hopefully drops dead of a heart attack. But there'll also be plenty of other Trumps out there to fill in the space. So it's just one of these, like, oh God, oh God. If the pandemic isn't bad enough, it's like the prospect of Trump being back in the White House, and just like makes you realize it's like locus of control. All you can do is kind of shift around and dodge the debris that falls down from the heavens at you, because it's going to be falling down. I guess it always will. It's just definitely lived through probably my first 5 decades. You don't realize exactly how lucky you were, relatively speaking. Well, I, as a white settler, Canadian dude, straight, cis dude, have been incredibly lucky for 5 decades. And, I think I'm hoping for a good couple more, I guess. I'm hoping, or, I guess we'll see what happens. It's just one of those things of just like, sometimes you as an individual, you poke your head up and you look around at the how the world is, and you go, fuck, and then you just put your head back down and just, okay, I'm going to work. I'm doing my silly booktube thing, all my little micro things, and I guess it's just a matter of, you should probably have at least a little bit of attention pointed up in the sky, just so that, if something particularly egregious starts falling from it, you're not just so focused on the ground that you just get squashed without warning. I mean, and sometimes the thing that's going to fall from the sky is going to be so giant that even if your head's up, you can run as fast as you can and it still might get you. Well, that's very nihilistic of me. I guess it's a very nihilistic, dark episode for tonight. All right, I'll leave it there. More videos later.